Hello, hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? Oh, I'm not comfortable in this chair today. How's everybody doing today? I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes for everyone to join me. And I'm waiting for my guest today to join me as well. So let's see. God, I am so blind. I am so blind. I'm like, hey,
Hey.
Trevor. He's like, hi. I'm waiting for a couple of people to log on because it is. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Maybe it's me. I have it probably low.
Can you hear me?
I hear you low.
Okay.
Hold on.
Volume's already up, all the way up. You hear me? Better?
Now I can.
All right.
Now I can hear you
All
good.
right.
I can hear you good. How you been? How was your day?
Long, but good.
Good. Yeah,
Yeah.
mine was too.
Yeah.
Mine was too.
Yeah.
So I want to say thank you. I'm just waiting for a couple of guests to log on so we can start. Um, but I want to say thank you first personally. Look who's behind you.
I'm going upstairs.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God. I hope she knows we're live.
Yeah, I know. She gone. She gone.
All right. Okay. So I want to just welcome everyone to When Is Enough Enough? I am your host, Maritza, and today I have a special guest, which is Trevor. Welcome, Trevor,
Thanks for
to When Is
having me.
Enough Enough? I am so glad that you um, are coming forward to speak to me, especially on my podcast. I'm not sure if this is the first time.
I believe so.
But thank
I
you.
believe so.
Look at
Yeah.
that.
You're welcome.
I'm so proud of you. Um, Today's podcast is really an interesting podcast because I'm always talking about domestic violence and how domestic violence affects women. And just recently, I would say start like 2 years ago, I started realizing that domestic violence does not just affect women. It affects men and women.
Mhm.
And I knew domestic violence, not just abuse comes in different ways.
Right.
But I always spoke about how it affected me
Right.
in my life.
Right. Right.
And it wasn't up to maybe 2 years ago that I had to really stop and think like, this is not just something that happens to women. It happens to everyone and all
Yeah.
nationalities. It's not just, okay, minorities. It affects everyone.
Correct.
So I know from day one that we became friends, that was one of the topics that we had discussed as
Mhm.
far as abuse and what I've been
Right.
through. But I wanna just say thank you
Yeah.
for even coming out and speaking, because to me, speaking out was part of my healing.
Mm-hmm. For
Um,
sure.
well, it was the start to my healing process. So that's how I started my organization, Enough Cries. But I want to welcome Trevor. He is a guest at today's podcast, and we're going to hear how abuse affects the opposite side. So I do have some questions, Trevor, and if you
Okay.
don't feel comfortable, please, by all means, let me know that you,
Yeah.
let's say you want to pass. Just pass, okay? And pass it, pass it. Okay. So, the first question I have for you is, can you share a little bit about your story and when did you first realize something wasn't right in your relationship?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that I kind of felt that wasn't right and where I felt that things start to kind of like make a turn was um, I would say month probably six, seven, like around there. Um, it was good all the way up to that point. We had really rarely no issues. And then, I just start to realize that she started to kind of um, do a lot of questioning, a lot of blaming, and really not uh, having any kind of facts to
Accountability.
right and facts
Mhm.
to kind of stand on for her questions and the how she attacked me and stuff like that. So she never really, like you said, took accountability for a lot of things that she said and did. um it was always something I did or something that she thought I did. And me sitting down or me explaining to her, me talking to her was never good enough. So I just started kind of seeing um, how that was kind of changing. Our relationship was changing, and that was more of the standard now, almost an everyday occurrence, and and yeah, like I said, from that point up, from the start to that point, I mean, we rarely had an issue. We of course you get arguments here and there, but it wasn't
Right.
anything
Like any
like
relationship.
right, exactly. So, but it was definitely that was the first time I was like, okay, maybe, you know, uh, maybe it is me. Maybe I am approaching it the wrong way, and so
Hmm.
I start just kind of like
Questioning
maybe
yourself.
right, exactly. Like, what am I doing something wrong? Like, what am I doing? Like, I need to figure out what's going on because
Hmm.
apparently what I'm saying isn't good enough. What I'm saying is the wrong answer all the time. And, you know, um, maybe it is my fault. So yeah, it's just something that really, I think, triggered the downfall of, how, how of our relationship. And, that was like the starting point of where I felt like, something's wrong here.
Hmm.
Something's wrong. Yeah.
So you would say those were like, if you was to look back, like that was one of your red flags.
Yeah.
The fact that she never took accountability,
Right.
and you always felt like even if you had a
Hmm.
disagreement, it was your fault. Somehow it always got twisted to you,
Yeah.
and it was your fault.
Yeah.
And nothing however you explained it was never good enough because she already speculated what she thought was what it was. Is that
Absolutely.
fair to say?
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Okay.
Yeah. For sure.
So what was
Absolutely.
one moment, like, without giving out too much details, like what was one moment that you felt like you sat back and said, you know what, this is not really my fault. Like this is
Right.
not me. Can
Right.
you remember like one? Because I know me personally, like there was one incident that I had, and I had to sit back and was like, was it really me?
Hmm.
Like was all this call for me saying this is how this makes me feel?
Right.
Because in a relationship, if somebody does something, you want to be able to talk to your partner and say, what you did today or what you said today made me feel this way.
For
Because
sure.
that was my red flag. Like when I would express, this is how what you did made me feel this
Yeah.
way, and it was like bad. Like, okay,
Right.
maybe I shouldn't have said anything. Like
Right.
maybe I should have just stayed quiet and just brushed it off.
Right.
So is there like a moment, like an incident that you felt that, well, this is not even my fault? Like,
Yeah. Yeah. It kind of, to piggyback on what you were saying, it's it's kind of similar to when I kind of figured that, okay, yeah, this is definitely not me. There was an incident where, I did express like, hey, like, yo, what is, I'm not doing anything. I'm, whatever you think that I'm doing, I'm not, and, I'm trying to, explain to her, trying to, be the voice of reasoning throughout the whole thing. But, in her head, and she just didn't want to hear it. Or what
mm-hmm,
she would do is she would deflect, and she would still say it's my fault, but not by saying outright like it's your fault.
right,
She
yeah,
would she would kind of do the whole gaslighting thing and stuff like that. But Um, I would say that was one of the one of the things where I kind of noticed that um, it's just I know for sure it's not me, and I don't know if she is going to ever get it. You know,
Mhm.
like what are we doing here? You know what I mean? Like if you're not going to listen to me, like I listen to her all the time when she
Mhm.
has a concern. I told her from the jump that if you have anything that bothers you, come to
Mhm.
me. We can talk
Right.
it. I don't like arguing. It's exhausting.
Right.
Come talk to me, and whatever it is, we can sit down, we can talk about it, and we can squash it, and and I'll try to make you feel better about the situation. But even that was an issue, and yeah, it was just a whole bunch of just blaming, and and then as she kept doing it, and I just kept realizing like this this is really not me. Like I'm being truthful. It's it's her fault that she's not listening, or she's not really hearing me out
Mhm.
and really understanding, hey, I'm telling you the truth. You need to trust me, because when I first sat down with you, I said our relationship needs to be based on communication and
Right.
trust. If I'm giving you that communication and trust, and I'm telling you, hey, you don't have anything to worry about, then until you know for sure that
Mhm.
I'm out there doing something wrong,
Right.
then like just
Yeah.
kind
But
of.
you know, like you said, a lot of people listen,
Mhm.
but they don't hear you,
Right,
and
right,
and that is so important because we can keep talking, and a person's hearing it, but they're not really, comprehending what exactly you trying to say.
right.
So that's
That's
like a
for sure.
major communication, like breakup. It's not just going to penetrate. Like what you're
Mhm.
saying is not going to penetrate.
Right.
So my question to you is that at what point did you, like, besides the disagreements and the fact that she wasn't comprehending what you was trying to tell her,
Mhm.
when what type of abuse in this relationship besides the communication part did you also face?
A lot of it first started out with a lot of verbal.
Mm-hmm.
It started out being verbal. It started out with, you know, um, just being, for the most part, just being cursed at. I never cursed at her. Never did anything. I never called out her name. Nothing like that. Um, very, she was very forceful with a lot of what she would say. Like I said, being cursed at, just being outright, like I said, blamed for stuff, and that was the start when she felt comfortable enough to where she says, okay, I understand that now he's always going to not get so mad at me or whatever. So she's using the whole niceness against me.
Mm-hmm.
And so she felt like, okay, well, I can treat him any way I want now because I know he's not going anywhere.
Right.
And so she would start, with the curse words, kind of like the, belittling me and stuff like that, and just being really difficult all the time. Like it was every single day where it went from here and there through the week to legit every day. Every single day I would come home from work, it was always an issue. And there would be times where I would not want to come home because I know what was waiting for me. I know who was waiting for me. I know what I was gonna have to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
After a long day at work, I'm gonna have to sit there and try to calm her down about something. And of course she's not gonna listen, and I'm gonna be called every name in the book,
Mm-hmm.
until she gets tired and falls asleep.
Yeah.
So this was that was the start where definitely started verbally, and it was constant. It was constant.
Yeah. Verbal abuse and I'm always going to speak on my behalf. I can't speak on everyone's behalf, but I was, everyone knows I have been physically abused and I almost lost my life to it. But to me, the physical abuse I was able to get over because you heal. You know, within time, a couple of days, you're like, okay, I'm not sore anymore. You just move on. But the verbal abuse really, really, really got to me. And that was my struggle for years because you don't believe in yourself anymore. You know, the belittling yourself is like when they belittle you, someone that you care about, it's like I can take the heat from everybody, because it's like I don't care about you anyway. It's like you're not emphasizing in my life, you're not enhancing my life anyway, so I don't really care what your opinion is. Absolutely. But when you love someone and they start belittling you, it's like you really end up shrinking to this person, like, what am I worth? If this person's supposed to love me, and this is what they're doing, it was that has been like the biggest challenge for me. And even though I have my organization for 10 years, there's sometimes that I got to pull myself back and be like, you are worth something. And that's my favorite phrase, know your worth. And that because I constantly have to remind myself what I'm worth, because of that, and I have to pull myself back, like, nope, like, what you're worth, so it's me as a female. I can just imagine you as a guy and how many other guys, like, how it may impact you guys even more because you're a man and you're not supposed to feel, you're supposed to be tough. It's like, at what point did you feel that you had a safe place? Like, in that environment, did you find a safe place? Because it seems to me that home was hell. Because I work 2 jobs and try to stay out of the house as much as I can. I just did not want to face the abuse. So where did you find, or did you find a safe place where you can be like, or was it your work? Was it work?
You know what? Honestly, it had to be work, because at the time, I wasn't really that active. I wasn't really going to the gym. I wasn't really doing anything with myself. It was definitely, as stressful work as work could be, it was still better than being at home. Knowing that the person that's there is just going to cause just more confusion, more headaches, and it just never would stop. And so, definitely I would say work, or being around my family, really helped, because, and it was always just kind of like, because when I would take her around my family, it was a totally different person. Like, it was like, in my head, I would look at her and be like, this isn't you. This whole persona that you're putting on, this isn't you. So I knew that being around my family, and if she was there, I knew that I had to break from her being being the way that I know that she is constantly when, the people aren't around. When
So,
it's
in
just
other
her.
words, they didn't know, your family did not know that you were going through
Nah.
this.
No.
So this
No.
is something you was keeping to yourself as well.
Yeah, for sure.
So my next question to you is, how did the abuse affect your self-esteem, mental health, and your daily life?
Oh, um, daily. It was just awful. Um, you know, um, I just couldn't. I could never focus. Just because I was genuinely just scared about. Like I said, it got to the point where I was scared to go home because I didn't know just how angry this woman would be at me for God knows what. I felt like I had to sleep with one eye open most of the time because I don't know what she's capable of. I've seen her get to the point where she was just so angry where she just saw red, and like calming her down was not a thing. And it definitely weighed on my mental. um, it just really crushed me mentally. Really, I think that was the first time where I kind of realized that mental health was a real thing. And when someone just attacks you constantly, and over time you start to believe it, because that's the only thing that you hear. So even if you tell yourself enough, like, that's not true about yourself, but when you hear it constantly, your mind is going to absorb that information and go, well, maybe this is you, or maybe you are doing this, maybe, and so being attacked mentally, I mean, it was so exhausting, and I just felt so bad all the time, and I was not happy at all. Though, I mean, I could put on a face for friends and family, whatever, but I wasn't happy. I struggled every day. Um, it was scary. Like, it was really scary because I just didn't know. I didn't know what she was capable of on a day-to-day basis. It was something that I never thought that I would have to deal with, and I didn't know how to handle it, because I'm like, like, what do I do? Like, I haven't faced this before. I don't know. Yeah, like, I mean, and like, to your point, like you said, the whole man thing, like, oh, you're a man, deal with it, blah blah blah. I'm like, but I don't know what to do, like, like, I've never
No,
had to
I
deal with
get
it,
it. And
like,
that's a thing that also, I mean, I don't know how you was raised, but I know a lot of people say growing up as a little boy, they tell you, suck it up,
yeah,
you don't cry, get up, and keep going. And
hmm,
it's just like, why?
right,
You little boys have feelings. They're going to cry.
right,
If things hurt, let them know. Like, if it hurts, express that this hurt me.
right,
Express your emotions. But we teach our kids, like, our boys, like, this,
mhm,
be toughen it up,
right,
and now as I've grown and I've met so many people through my organization, it's just like I'm seeing more and more men coming out and speaking like, I've gone through the same
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
but they suffer in silence. Like, females, we can get a group of girls to talk about it and be like, oh, call it the bashing day, oh, my man is this and da 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 da.
hmm,
And we're venting to our girlfriends about it, but you never hear a group of guys talking about,
right,
my girlfriend just beat me up last
yeah,
night.
right,
My girlfriend just
right,
strangled me. You don't ever hear that.
right,
And it's terrible.
right,
Not that it's terrible that it's happening, not that it's terrible that it's just happening, but the fact that there is no help
yeah,
for guys.
no,
So if, let's just say, for instance, in your situation, if she was to call the cops,
hmm,
you're the one that's going to get
yeah,
arrested, even though she was the abuser.
absolutely, absolutely, 100%.
And that is the system. That's the system, because I've spoken to friends that are officers,
Hmm,
and I'm like, why is that? Like, why, like, why automatically assume
hmm,
that is the man?
right, right,
And the system is built for that, just to remove the man or arrest the man. Like, we can say whatever we're going to
hmm,
say, and you guys will get arrested without us even having to really prove our statement.
absolutely,
And that's so
absolutely,
scary, because I have a brother,
uh-huh,
and I don't even want to imagine, a female doing something to my
right,
brother and him getting locked up when he's never had a criminal
right,
record, and now you're locked up.
right,
So
yeah,
the system is so messed up when it comes to that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it got rough. It got really rough. I mean, like I said, it kind of, when she felt that she could verbally abuse me and get away with it, that's when she upped it. that's when things got physical. And, you know, coming from being choked in the middle of the night, just randomly,
Mhm.
you know, to being, punched in the eye and having a black eye, and having things thrown at me,
Right.
silverware, anything she get a hold of, like she would, um, and then she would just after it would happen, she would pretend like nothing ever happened, like it's
It
just
just continued to a
right.
regular day.
Right. Just brush it on the rug. Nothing
Right.
happened, Um, and it was constant. I mean, the choking, was constant. Um, being smacked, you know. There was one time where I came home from work and I'm, you know, just getting ready to unwind and just right across her face twice for God knows, why. And I'm looking at her like, and she's looking at me like just with this furious face, and
Right.
she just walks off. Like I'm like, okay, what? Like, and
Man.
then and I was just like, I don't, like I said, I don't. What do I do? Like I've never had to deal with something like this, and now I feel like I've gotta, I was literally at that point I was scared to even approach her to say anything. So I just
Hmm.
I just started to just shut my mouth. I didn't say anything, and I took it,
So how
and
long from that point did you continue to stay with her?
I would say, um, after month 6, we stayed together for I would- almost almost a whole nother. Um, I want to say almost a whole another year. I want to say.
But was
Um,
it constantly like that, or did you have your good
yeah,
moments
I
or
it kind of calmed down for
a
a little bit,
little bit?
but then and that's why I thought, okay, well maybe she's getting it, and then um, towards the end, it ramped up and it got super bad because I think she realized that I was just like, No more, no
Hmm.
more," and she didn't like that, and so she just wanted to lay it on, thicker than ever
Yeah.
before, and she just it just was at that point it was it went back to being constant. It went back to being
Hmm.
constant, Um, it was just it was bad, and it's one of those things where you you figure like I did everything right. I loved you. I did, I wanted the best for you. I never made you feel bad about anything.
Hmm.
You know, I was always your comfort when something upset you or whatever. I tried to be that for you.
Right.
Um, Most of the time, she received them. A lot of time that she didn't because she just wanted to be mad, and then to be treated like that constantly, um, it's just like it gets to a point where I'm like, is I don't want to even be in a relationship anymore, or like, are all women like this? Like long
Hmm.
term, at that point, scared me. Like it scared me.
Right.
Like I didn't want anything to do with being in a relationship, after that because it's like a wolf in sheep's clothing,
Hmm.
like you don't know this person. Yeah, they say, yo, get to know the person. Yeah, okay, you can get to know the person all you want, but that doesn't mean in
Right.
a drop of a hat it can't switch,
Right.
and you know, um, like I said, I know there's a lot of men out there dealing with it, and when I put up
Hmm.
the flyer, I had a guy on Instagram reach out to me and tell me like what he was dealing with, and he's been there before, and it's cool that I'm doing this, and because you know we don't have a voice because
Hmm.
we're like you said, we're looked at have to be the backbone, have to be the rock, the tough guy, and
Right.
be emotionless because we're the man, like
Right.
we're not allowed to have any kind of emotions attached to anything. We're supposed to be mentally strong, and we can't be drained because,
You're a
we
man.
have to be, yeah, exactly. We're men, like we're looked, if we're not that, we're looked at, we were
Right.
called different names, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, so, um, it was cool to see that, had some men reach out to me and say, hey, like, yeah, we were there, man, and we
Mhm.
understand exactly what you're going through. And
And I applaud you for even coming out and speaking about it, because more men need to come out and speak about it so there can be the help out there for men.
hmm
Because, like you said, the ones that have reached out to you, is that I'm sure they just reached out to you and they haven't even spoken about it to anyone else.
right,
And
right,
I know this for a fact, because even when I put the flyer out, somebody had said, this is kind of cool that you're actually, doing this. And I'm like, we all have a past, a bad relationship, and it's not just a female. Guys go through it at the same time.
hmm
So that goes like, if you guys talk about it more, and not in a shameful way, because that's, people see it as a shameful way, like, I don't want to talk about it because I'm a guy.
right,
I think it's just more of that guy bonding. To, you guys talk about a lot of things when you're
right,
together, but not talk, instead of talking about certain things that you're actually, you guys are going through in life,
yeah,
to uplift each other,
yeah,
more or less. Because us girls, like, we go out to lunch and we'll be like, I'm going through this in my relationship.
right,
We're quick to be like, oh, la, la, la,
yeah,
but
uh-huh,
guys are more like, it's sports or just the
right,
gym,
yeah, hmm
instead of bonding in other ways, as to, like, this relationship is really toxic,
right,
you know
right, right,
and that the guy that you're talking to is not going to be like, oh, stop being such a punk,
right, yeah.
because, be like, yo, like, what's going
Going
on,
on,
or,
bro? Yeah, talk to me.
right,
Yeah,
like, talk to
uh-huh.
me.
Mhm.
I think guys would be more open to it,
Right.
instead
Yeah, and I
of,
bet.
because you feel
Yeah,
like your guy friend's going to be like, oh, stop being such a punk, like,
right.
what is
Exactly.
she
Come
doing,
on now. Right.
like,
Yeah.
right,
Right.
like.
Right.
And I think it's just that your guys are ashamed to
Right.
speak about something with another guy, because it's just like, what is he gonna
Right.
say?
And we shouldn't be, because if anything, that tells you the type of company that you might want to remove from your life. If they
Exactly.
if they don't reach it,
Exactly.
if you can't come to them in confidence and say, "Yo, homie, this I just need to talk to you,
Right.
man." Like,
And be open about it.
yeah, yeah, this, that, and the third's happening. You got any advice for me, without them going back and saying, stop being a punk or being judged or anything like that. Men need to be okay, um, with opening up and telling other men about their feelings,
Right.
because, you know, I think that, number one, I think it would bring a lot of men to realize that, man, even if they aren't going through the stuff that I and, other men have gone through, if they're just going through loneliness, just, being lonely,
Right.
or mental
Right.
health or anything, they could
To be
say,
able to talk about it.
right, they could say, okay, now I can feel comfortable talking to my guy, you know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like, let me try the guy that I do go to the gym with. Say, sitting in the sauna, hey, can I talk to you about
Right.
something?
Right.
Like, and then that bond, if they're open to talking, that bond could become stronger. And then that
Exactly.
leads to, and that spreads to other men out, outside their friendship, inside the circle that they
Hmm.
have. And it just makes it more acceptable, because men do need to talk about
Their feelings
the things that
and
they
the
go through.
emotions and the
Right,
mental illness
right,
that's out
right,
there,
right,
because it's real.
right.
It's real. And you
Absolutely.
guys tend to keep feelings inside.
We do.
And
We do.
that's just going to infest and keep infesting, and it's just going to break you down.
Right.
So it's just like, you're not going to be good for yourself,
hmm
but then you're not going to be good for the next person either.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
that's another issue. That's a whole, like, mental illness is real.
Yeah.
I mean, I know a lot of people now talk about mental illness,
hmm
because back in the days it wasn't discussed. It's like,
Right.
suck it up,
Right.
like,
Exactly.
get over it.
Yeah.
But
Uh-huh.
it is real.
Right.
And if you don't have someone to talk to or
hmm
to vent,
Right.
it's just gonna keep infesting inside of you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and it's going to get to a point where it's going to boil over, and you know, and you just get to that point where you're, unfortunately just sick of life,
Mhm.
and
Yeah,
there's
because you
plenty
feel
of
like you don't have anybody to talk to.
exactly, and like you said, you press everything down, but there's
Mhm.
only so much room. There's only so much room that you can, push down and put all those emotions and on top of each other, and eventually it's just going to boil over.
Yeah,
So
because then you have the stress of work,
right,
and then like home should be your safe
right,
haven, and then you got to deal with this on
right,
top of the stress at work.
absolutely,
And then you're relying, really, not, I want to say relying, but when you're in a relationship, you want to feel that you can go to your partner and release some of that stress,
yeah,
not
100%,
just gain more stress on top of what you gained at work with everybody in the outside world.
right, right, yeah. Yeah, and that's how I felt. I felt like there was every single day I would come home from work. Well, every night I would come home from work. I would sit in my car and I would just stare at the house.
Mm.
And I'm like, what is it going to be tonight? Because I know it's going to be something. It's never not. It's always something. We never can have a calm night because there's she's always mad about something. Like there was times where she would call my job and she would get mad because a female answered the phone, and I would have to explain that like I'm in court, and I'm like sitting here fighting with her. I'm like, why am I fighting like about this? Like why is this?
Right.
Why is this a problem? And it was embarrassing for me because it's like this happened, quite frequently, and I'm like, this is
Mhm.
my job. Now you're affecting my job, like, and it's just something that she shouldn't have done. But when she's getting in her little mode, she sees red, and whatever she does just makes sense in
Does
her
it?
head.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
yeah.
have another question.
Huh?
Looking back, what do you wish you had known sooner?
I think the biggest thing is knowing how to handle certain situations, and looking for the red flags, and understanding them. Um,
Wait,
and
hold up. Understanding the red flags.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean,
Time out. Red flags are there for us to be like,
yeah,
and this
yeah.
is
I
just
mean,
me, my opinion,
right,
people. This is just my opinion. Red flags, I'm out.
right,
Like,
right, right, right.
because
No, yeah, for sure.
when you've been through bad
Uh huh.
relationships, there are red flags,
Right,
and you should learn from these red
right,
flags. And
right,
I'm
right.
like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, for sure,
But
for sure.
it's so hard to, and I say this with love too, because when you love someone, you know, when you genuinely love someone, you don't see the red
Right.
flags until way into the relationship.
Yes.
And then you're like, wait, these are red flags. I
Right.
should have been more aware of it.
Yeah.
But you love someone genuinely, you try to overlook the red flags,
Mm-hmm.
hoping that it will get better.
Right. Right.
But
Right.
it's that individual needs to work on themselves
Mm-hmm.
in order to give you the best version for you.
Right.
And that's just my
Right.
opinion. I mean, some
No.
people will say, well, we need to work together to get, I don't know. Me personally, I feel like people need to work on themselves and
Yeah.
find, whatever issues you have, whatever
Right.
trauma you have gone through, because I feel like people are that way because they experience
Mm-hmm.
trauma and they have never healed from that trauma.
Right.
So it
Yeah.
continues to go into toxic relationships and doesn't
Absolutely.
get better
Right.
because you never went to the core of your
Yeah.
trauma.
Yeah. Yeah. You never dealt with it, and you just
Right.
allow it to continue on to other men or females that you get in a relationship with, and and you want to think that that person is going to treat you exactly how the last person that gave you the trauma is going to treat you. So you use that, and you want to place it on them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just not fair, because now not you're not giving them a chance to love you and show you that this is how a man treats
It's
their woman, or this is how a
supposed to
woman
be
treats your
treated.
man,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is how you're supposed to be treated. So I'm sorry for what happened to you in the past, but I had nothing to do with that man. I had nothing to do with that
Right.
woman. Right now, you're with me, and I'm going to show you what it is to be a good man, what
Right.
it is to be a good woman to, to your significant other. And so, while they still need to heal from the trauma, you can walk with them and say, okay, like, I'm going to be there for you, but there is something that you do have to
Work
kick the
on.
door down in your
Yeah.
own life. I can't do that for you, but I can rock with you, but I can't do that for you,
Right.
like you have to know that, okay, you're right. I do have past traumas. I'm not perfect, but I'm going to work on it. And, you know, don't get upset. If something pops up real quick, just understand that I am working. But
Working on it. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But again, don't say that and use that excuse just to keep doing it.
To keep repeating
Right,
the same pattern.
right.
Mm-hmm.
Do it and learn from it. Don't do it again.
Right.
You know. And that's the only way we can really understand our past traumas and get better at it, is to learn that you got to let it go, because what happened in your past isn't that person's fault that you're with right now you know
Right.
um, and I think that's where she was, and she just didn't want to deal with her past traumas. She was so hurt, and she just felt like, I don't care. I'm going to take it out because all men are like
Right.
this. And so I've been hurt so much, I'm just going to take it out on all my next relationships,
Right.
you know, until someone just loves me enough to deal with me, you know.
And
And
that's not fair for the next person.
right, exactly.
That's not fair for the next person, because I've learned myself in being in relationships that some things may trigger me. Like I personally, I like to say me, because I don't want to base it on everybody. I don't want nobody coming at me to attack me.
Right.
My personal opinion,
Mm-hmm.
um, I had insecurity issues,
Mm-hmm.
and my insecurity issues came when I looked at myself in the mirror. Like,
Right.
a lot of people probably will say, "Oh, you're very attractive,"
Mm-hmm.
but when you don't see that, but you can see all the other females super attractive, and you start saying, I wish I had hair like that,
Right.
or I wish my body looked like that,
Right.
or I wish this was like that.
Right.
You In my head, and this is just me, in my
Yeah.
mind, I built the perfect me
Right.
through other women,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when I would see myself in the mirror, I never saw what he saw.
Right.
And when he gave me a compliment, I used to get angry.
Right. Right.
I ain't kidding. I used to
Right.
be like, "Oh, you being funny?"
Uh-huh.
If he said, "Oh,
Yeah.
that was really nice on you," and I'm like, "What's wrong with
Yeah.
it?" And
Something's
he's
wrong with
like,
it. Yeah.
"Whoa, I
Uh-huh.
just gave you
Yeah.
a compliment."
Right.
But to me, I'm like, "Are you being funny?"
Right.
Like, what's wrong with my outfit?
Right.
That's how insecure I
Yeah.
was. And
Yeah.
that was because of my past relationship. That
Mm-hmm.
verbal abuse
Yes.
made me think like, you're ugly, you don't have um, a big
Yeah.
thunk, you got this, you're
Yeah.
not that. So
Right.
visually, I started seeing what he would say in other women, and I was trying to compose that in myself.
Yeah.
But you can't. I'm me. This is my
Right.
body,
Yeah.
and I had to learn to embrace me
Mm-hmm.
with all my defects. If I have my defects, I
Right.
have my defects. I'm not perfect, but I had to learn to look in the mirror and really be satisfied with how God
Yeah.
created me, and then
Sure.
embraced it, because we're hard on ourselves. Like, you go a lot to the gym because you want to look better and feel better
Yeah.
for you. But to
100.
other people be like, "Oh, he's fine."
Right.
But we're our worst critic. And I noticed that I took that to a relationship until he sat me down and he's like, you need to really stop. Like, you know, you don't know how to handle a compliment. And I'm gonna be completely honest with you. I still don't know how to handle a compliment. If somebody says something, I'm like, thank you. And I'll change that subject in a quickness. In a quickness, I would change that subject because I don't want it based on me. I'll be saying something else. So I know that I'm still a work in progress, you know, a process, because even though I have my organization and I try to encourage people, I'm still working on me.
Yeah, for sure.
Every day I'm working on me. Yes. You know, and we have to acknowledge that we are a work in progress, because each day it's another day for us to work on ourselves. Right. To be a better version. Right. You know. Yeah. So when that right person, when God brings that right person, we're a better version of ourselves. Right. So that leads to the next question. So why do you think male victims of abuse are often overlooked or not taken seriously? Because they're a man, basically.
Yeah. Because like who's really going to believe that? Right. A lot of people are like, oh, look, I'm not going to believe that. Like you're the man, and that just doesn't. There's a lot of people that think that just doesn't happen to men. Right. It just doesn't. It's always on, the woman's side of being abused. I mean, it's never the roles are never reversed. Right. They're never reversed. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's always. I think that's what really just kind of stops men from speaking out, because who's going to believe them? Who's going to take them serious afterwards? Mm-hmm. A lot of like I said, a lot of men are really hard on themselves, and so when people look at them as being soft or letting a woman beat up on them, because in today's day and age everything's funny, um, that's going to stick with them, and that's going to make them close in and shut down and not want to speak on how they really feel if they are being abused, or if they are being talked to in a manner that they don't like, and they want to open up, but they're scared of being judged by other men. They're scared of being judged by complete strangers, because now they have this thing on them saying that, oh, you can't handle your woman, oh, you can't do this, you can't, you can't check her, blah 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 blah, and that's the stigma that goes along with not being able to come out and speak as a man and say, yeah, I dealt with it, it sucked, I need someone to talk to. Right. Because I never dealt, like, this is the first time this has happened, or this keeps on happening and I have no answer for it. What do I do? That's why I think that men have such a hard time coming out and speaking on it, because they don't want to be judged by other men. Yeah, exactly. They want to look like they have everything in control, but sometimes you don't, and sometimes it's out of your control, and you need help, and you need answers, and and it's okay to come out and talk about it, because it's acceptable and it's okay. And it's okay. Right. It's 100% okay. It's okay. It's something that should be done all the time, and you're not judged or made fun of for it, because
hold on, you got muted. Can I say something? It's muted. Can you guys hear him? Mm-mm. Let me see if they hear you. Christina, can you hear him still? Yeah. She said no. It has the little icon that's muted on the side. Because it's the little icon on the circle over here, it says muted. Give him a second. Okay, as he gets that situated, this is such a great conversation. Try to fix it, Trevor, because it's still muted. As we talk, because this is really an important topic as far as men that have abusive relationships and how abuse affects men and how they can come out and speak about it. And I commend Trevor for coming out and even speaking about his relationship. I know I have Christina here, and Christina is on my website as a counselor. So if anyone feels that they need some counseling, they can reach out to Christina. I can put Christina's information when we're done with the podcast, with the Facebook Live. I still can't hear you. So because not everyone can do this on their own and deal with abuse. Abuse comes in different forms, and some people need to go to counseling. Some people need to speak to a psychiatrist. I personally, I dealt with it the best way I can, and I'm not going to say I dealt with it in a perfect manner, because I faced a lot of ups and downs, and I probably did mess up a few relationships in my time because of my insecurities, because of my trust issues, because I didn't heal the way I should have healed. But I thank God that I did a lot of prayer. I had friends that prayed with me. I had friends that prayed with me, and God worked with me to be able to get over it. And I'm so thankful for that, because without God, I would not have made it through. I tried to take my life away. I tried, I didn't have, well, I didn't know my worth. So when you don't know the value to yourself and how much God loves you, you're always going to go into a negative situation, in a black space, in a dark space, right? Let me try to add him again. Sorry. Let me try to add Trevor. So, I just invited Trevor to join us. I still can't hear you. It's muted. I got you.
Can you hear me now?
Got you.
Yeah, that
So
was weird.
let me just finish the statement I was saying. So often we go into this dark place, and then we feel that no one else cares for us, and we enter this dark place and start thinking negative thoughts. And my way of healing may not be everyone's way of healing. Some people, like I said, need to see a counselor, see a therapist, and that's going to be helpful for them. But to me, I did dive in to God and put it all in his hands, because I would not have been able to do it by myself.
For sure.
And I'm so thankful for that I had a graceful God, a merciful God that allowed me to grow, and when I surrendered and said, God, I can't do this. Like, I can't do this. Like, I had 3 kids, and I just didn't see myself going any further.
Right.
So when you're in that dark space, it's so important to reach out to somebody, even if it's the guys, like you said.
Yeah.
Or
Yeah.
seek the help. There is no shame in seeking help,
Right.
through a professional.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For
There
sure.
isn't.
I have a therapist right now that I go to, and we do a call. Our schedule is 3 times a week, but she said that she's always available.
And you can do it
And
online now. Like you don't
yeah,
need to
yeah,
actually go in to see somebody. You can
absolutely.
do it online,
I use
conversation,
BetterHelp.
video
Yeah,
chatting, however you
uh-huh.
feel comfortable.
Yeah, I use BetterHelp. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a game changer for me.
Mm-hmm.
And the biggest thing that she takes every day, every time I'm on the call with her, we always say, well, she always tells me every day, stack pennies, because it's the little things that are going to add up to the big things.
Mm-hmm.
So you take that every day, you have little wins, throughout your day, and understand you're going to go through ups and downs,
Absolutely.
but understand
Yeah.
that's okay. It's fine, because you're human. You're
Exactly.
not a robot. You're not
Mm-hmm.
perfect. So you take those little pennies and you stack them every single day, and you'll be fine. And that's been what I kind of lean on every day. Doing something that I'm going to be proud of.
Right.
You know, and that's helped me tremendously. So yeah, I mean, it's okay. Like I said, I'm speaking to men. It's okay to go out there, seek help. If you're not comfortable speaking to a therapist, test it out. Talk to your guys.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you guys go out, wherever, Top Golf, go out, whatever, and just say, hey, I just want to talk to you guys about something, so I could bounce, some idea. This is what I've been
Yeah.
going
And you
through.
will
And
also see who your true
yeah,
friends are.
exactly,
Because
exactly.
if they're over here like, what are you talking about? Like, it's just like, don't shut
Right,
down. Don't shut
right,
down. If you
right,
cannot speak to your guy friends, then go seek the help somewhere
for
else.
sure.
But don't shut down and don't keep it to yourself, because it's only going to infest inside and it's going to
Yes,
get worse. And you
yes,
never want to get yourself into that dark place. That's like a
absolutely.
place you don't want to be, because it's
Yeah,
so hard to get out of there.
and I I understand that completely. I understand that completely. Yeah,
Yeah.
I've been there, and it's really hard to get out. It takes a lot of effort and a lot of know-how and a lot of want to get out of that place where you it gets so bad that you look at it when you come out, you're like, I can't do that. I can't go through that again.
Exactly.
There's no way, because there's no way that I'm going to survive that
Hmm.
again. So yeah, it gets bad. It definitely does, and we don't want to see anybody get to that point.
Right.
Especially over a relationship or something like that, where you can just say, you know, look, I try my best. I'm not going to sit here and take this from you or anybody else. I'm sorry, because I matter. The person that's looking in the mirror, that's the person right now that I need to take care of.
Right.
And being in this relationship, it's not doing me any favors. So
And
I
it's
need to
okay to
stop
say
that.
that. I think a lot of
Yeah,
people feel bad for saying that.
right,
And I tell
right.
people all the time, it's okay to
Yeah,
love yourself enough to know that you put 100% into this
mhm,
relationship and it's not working. And
right.
it's only hurting you, and it's a toxic relationship. It's okay to walk away.
Yeah,
I've learned to, whatever is not good for me, I can
mhm,
love someone from a distance. I will
right,
help you from a distance.
right.
But together we're not
Yeah,
equally yoked. Together
ex-
we do not mix.
right,
So it's okay. I have to let it go. It doesn't
right,
make you a bad person. You're just not the person for me. And
right.
I think a lot of people
Absolutely.
don't understand that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but just to close
Absolutely.
out, because this was supposed to be 30 minutes and we're in an hour
Yeah,
and this is a great conversation.
yeah.
So, and your
Good
brother
time.
just logged on all
Yeah.
late. So you're going to have to watch it on YouTube. But if you can close it out with an advice for the next man, what would you tell him?
be be true to yourself and understand what's okay and what's not okay. And be okay enough to where you can speak to that person and say, "Hey, I didn't like that. That's not going to fly." If they receive it, good. And if it comes to habit, you're allowed to walk away.
Right.
It's okay. It's fine because you know, like you said, you know your
Right.
worth. You know who you are. You know what you're going to tolerate. You know what you're not going to tolerate. If it's
Absolutely.
something that this person is a behavior that you're not rocking with and that person's not changing their behavior for you or for anybody, leave.
Right.
And don't feel bad about it
Mm-hmm.
because you have to protect this and this.
Right.
As long as you do that, you'll be good because the right person's going to come
I
along and
appreciate it. Yeah.
exactly and protect this and this,
Yes. Yeah.
with you. So don't be afraid to stand on your business. Don't be afraid to say this
Have
is not.
standards for
Yeah,
yourself. Put standards
yeah,
for yourself.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Be bold. Don't let her, um, you know, try to change who you are because she wants to keep you around.
Right.
You know, the apology game, all this stuff. And it's cool to apologize, but if the
Thing is
same
happening
stuff
over and
keeps
over.
happening, that's just that's all you need to know. Pack
Right.
up, get out of there. And you enjoy your life because God's going to bring the right person in your life that's going to love you the correct way. And you're going to look back at it and say, I made the right move. I looked after myself. All that's behind
Mm-hmm.
me. And like you said, don't carry it with you, but know that and learn from it,
Mm-hmm.
but leave it in the past and let that person give that person a chance to really, you know, accept and really love you for who you are because that's the most important thing. But always be okay with speaking out, be okay with with saying, hey, enough is enough.
Enough is enough.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta I gotta go. I don't. You can cry all you want or whatever, but while you were doing the things that you were doing, you wasn't
Right.
crying. But now I got fed up with it. Now you want to do that, so
Right.
you have to just be
That's why it's so
okay.
important that when we get into a next relationship, like
Hmm.
we need to heal from our trauma. Even if
Absolutely,
we
absolutely.
stay single, like I know people that jump from relationship to relationship to
Mhm.
relationship. It's like pause, time out. Like, can we heal from
Right,
your trauma
right.
so you don't take that luggage with you to the next relationship?
Hmm.
So, but
Yeah.
this has been an amazing conversation piece. I am I'm so thankful for you to come out and speak about it for the first time. And that you decided to do it in Enough is Enough. For those that are watching, my website is www. Why do I have to say www? Enoughcries.org. And on my website, I do have Christina that she's on. She is one of the counselors that I refer, anyone that needs counseling to her. There's also a psychiatrist. I've learned through the years there's a difference there. But Christina, know personally. I know them both personally, but I have more of a relationship with Christina because she knows my story and what I've gone through. So great people, great person to talk to. If you need her information, you can go on my website and get it. I'll be more than happy to post it after we're done. But I want to say thank you so much, Trevor, for
Yeah.
even being honest.
Yeah.
This is a conversation that's much needed for men to be able to have that courage to speak out. And hopefully the system in the near future can change to help you guys out and not so much be against you guys, especially,
Yeah.
our black men that where you guys fight every day. Your guys are fighting every day. And it's
Yeah.
just, you don't need that battle if you're being a good man. And
Absolutely.
that's something that I wish and hope that you guys don't have to stress over that, be in a healthy relationship. So
Absolutely.
kudos to all the good men out there, because I know
Yes.
I'm always talking about domestic violence and what I've been through. I know there are good men out
Yeah.
there, so I'm not
For
here to
sure.
bash men. I love you guys
That.
all. I love y'all. But I want to say thank you, Trevor, again. I truly appreciate it. So
Yeah.
um
Welcome.
That is
Thanks for having me.
it. This was a great conversation piece. I truly love it. So I'm gonna next month we'll have another guy that he is a little hesitant in speaking, and hopefully hearing Trevor's story, he'll be like, I
Yes,
got this. But
got
we'll
it.
see. We shall
All
see.
right.
Everybody have a good night and God bless.